rooster had a name. That was my pet. And it's not like we were poor. We didn't need the food. Didn't need this animal to sustain us. And I was shocked and horrified and in tremendous pain. And my family mocked me for the seriousness of it, like, get over yourself, right? This was my pet, this was my friend. And I remember, trying to muster all the courage and bravery and strength that I could, being the youngest in this family, to make a stand and say, I'm not eating chicken, I'm not eating meat anymore. And my siblings would tease me. Like every time we had chicken for dinner, they would joke and mock and say, that's your pet. And I learned somehow to push that down and take it as normal. I mean, we take as normal what we're raised with, what our environment is. And yet something in me continued to foster this feeling of it's not right, it's not correct, and it's not the way that I want to live. I wasn't supported by my family to make a choice. I submerged that feeling for a long time. And then when my son was 3, I remember so distinctly, he was sitting at the high chair and I put a plate of food in front of him and he looked at it and he looked at me and he said, "What are we having for dinner?" And I said, "Chicken." And he looked at me and he looked at his plate and he looked at me and he said, "You mean the animal?" And I said, "Yes." And he pushed the plate away and he said, "I'm not eating my friends anymore." And at that moment, I felt that echo from myself when I was 6. It's not right to eat our friends. And I said, okay, that's it. Never again. That was 27 years ago. He's been a vegetarian ever since, and so have I. He made the switch to veganism, and I did too. It's like, that sort of wave of realization and then purifying and refining those choices.
I don't know what caused me to question it, but I did just asked what it was and, recognized the word, of course, chicken. And, I at first couldn't believe that. I thought it was like a word with a double meaning or something like that. But it actually was, in fact, the chicken. I was thinking of the birds who were like my friend. I consider a friend just as I would consider a human being a friend. It was shocking, and the fact that my mom encouraged it and encouraged me to have that choice, I think it made it a positive thing, which could have been very negative if that was shut down and I had to suppress that side of myself.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining what that would do to a 3-year-old
Yeah.
child, how it would impact your life in ways beyond belief.
Uh-huh.
So what's it been like to have this impact on your mom?
Well, it's been fantastic, and it's been returned too. The fact that she supported me, and it's really easy for children to not be supported, especially with decisions like that. And I think sometimes we start off with the right stuff and get taught that it's wrong, but we have to deprogram ourselves and be our authentic selves. I was vegetarian, and then in the year 2014, I started dating a woman who was vegan, and I had been thinking about becoming vegan because over my teenage years, I educated myself about the dairy industry, and at that point, it was a difficult habit for me. I didn't like that I was eating cheese and eggs and ice cream and stuff like that, it made me feel guilty because I knew the truth behind it. And meeting this person was very encouraging for me to just go ahead and make that choice I had already been thinking about.
So what has it done for the relationship with your mom that you are on the same page there? That's a rarity in this universe.
Well, we share a lot of meals, have a lot of great meals during the holidays. During Thanksgiving, we have, the different kinds of loaves and stuff made out of lentils and, totally vegan, cruelty-free
Yeah.
holidays.
Do you see yourself being an activist and finding other ways to influence change?
Yeah, so that's something I would like to get involved with. I would like, to just create a bridge, a connection as much as possible for people to, raise their consciousness to a level where they can make that decision and see why it's necessary and how much of a positive impact it could have.
Yeah.
I have been able to inspire some friends who are not vegan to maybe not fully go vegan, but to incorporate more vegan meals and to eat less meat and make healthier choices. I think just by being an example in other people's lives at this point and, not condemning people for their choices that I see as a lower conscious choice, but, to stay by my beliefs and to speak them, but not to impose them on other people. It feels kind of like the movie The Matrix, where Neo and his friends are walking around in the Matrix, and they're woken up, but everybody else is just programmed inside of a simulation, and can't realize what's going on, what the truth is. It was disheartening for a long time, but I can't be discouraged and have to be grateful and feel blessed to live this way and to be this aware and conscious. And I think that there is an awakening going on at the same time. As much closed-mindedness as there's also people that are awakening and making higher choices.
It's about normalizing a way of life and a way of being that is natural and not marginalizing it. For myself, having made the choice to be a vegetarian so long ago, I've encountered, countless, innumerable social situations where I'm the only vegetarian. And so there's this kind of feeling like you're the weirdo, or you're on the fringe, and the weirdo has to somehow accommodate for myself so that I can be part of the social situation. And I don't know what it takes to turn that wheel so that it becomes normalized, that it's a plant-based experience with meat being the exception.
Yeah.
It's a mind shift, it's a cultural shift, it's a heart shift, it's on so many levels, and yet it's, what am I trying to say? It's almost like those of us who are on this fringe, we've been identified that way as, vegans, weirdos, whatever. We've sort of sat patiently by, feeling like, well, really, we're doing the thing that's right, but we'll conform and go along with everybody. We're not going to sacrifice our values. We're going to stick to that. But in order to be part of the wider social scene, I'll bring my own food. I'll make my own adaptation. I won't make a big deal about it. I won't talk to people about it because, so I have kind of minimized, it's okay, I'll bring my own food.
Yeah.
So I don't personally take the opportunity to educate other people because I feel like I don't want to impose my view. I don't want to be confrontive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yet,
And
yeah.
I think the attitude that's going to shift us to being more, it's not in people's face, at least in their ears, is that we cannot have peace in our time, in our
Right,
planet,
right.
when people are treating animals
Yeah,
this way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just showing in our own lives how it's benefiting us and how we're truly not the ones that are causing suffering on the planet and don't have to take that on karmically. People, and we're not telling people to change their choices. We're allowing them, loving them, and allowing them to come to that decision on their own.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about the health benefits, or just talk about the environment in a positive way about in your own circumstance. Oh, I feel so glad at how much water I've saved since I've been vegan. And the
Yeah.
statistics are definitely out there, and they're
Yeah.
pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, here you two are,
Hi.
and I'm wondering, what conversation could you have that's real in this moment about the overview?
Well, I could say to you, Kelsey, that I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
That you have stayed true to your values. That, I mean, you came into this life with a heart of compassion for animals, a feeling, a deep kinship and connection with animals from the beginning. And that for you that translated into a life choice that you have stayed consistent with and have just steadily been yourself and been your held that presence until such time as people were ready to hear it. And I feel like you're going to be one of the voices that is going to help people hear it. It's a natural, organic outgrowth of who you are and what you believe in.
Well, thanks a lot, Mom. I feel the same way about you 100%, for supporting me and, for allowing me, to make that choice and supporting that direction for me. And I didn't see it as a very important thing for many years to directly influence other people about it. But, as I'm coming to learn now, that it is, and there's new ways to do it, and there's ways we haven't figured out yet, and that we're all working on together as a team to figure out what the best way to spread this message is to people.
Yeah. There's something too about joy. Really experiencing joy in preparation of food and sharing food, and that it's not compromised by causing suffering to some other being. And I sometimes, when I'm driving in my car and I see the beautiful pastoral hills and the cows are grazing, I speak to them and I say, I love you, and I'm so glad that I don't eat you. I mean, I really do, because I don't have to have any kind of constriction when I see that beauty of this animal on the land. I feel kinship with them, and so it's somehow spreading the message of joy, that it's not about deprivation, it's not about being a goody-goody, it's about experiencing joy and integration.